Will a more expensive audio interface make your drum machines and synthesizers sound better? That's a question I've been asking myself, since I'm currently looking for a portable second audio interface that doesn't break the bank, and I've narrowed it down to these three choices. A lot of videos have been made on the topic of mic preamps, but does the audio interface actually make a noticeable difference for line-level signals, such as those from a drum machine or synth? Let's find out. Hello everyone, this is... We have three entry to mid-level audio interfaces here. The Behringer U-Phoria UMC204HD, the MOTU M2, and the Audient ID14 Mark II. Let's get right into it and listen to recordings of a drum machine and a synthesizer made with these three interfaces. The recordings were made at 48K 24-bit and normalized to the same loudness level. The drum machine and synthesizer have been on for more than half an hour to give the analog circuits time to warm up. We also added chapter markers, so you can quickly jump between the tests. For the noise floor test, we won't play anything, but we have the TR-6S connected because it's a battery-powered digital drum machine with a low noise floor and there's no interference from the mains or USB. If you have any concerns that YouTube's compression algorithm is messing with the sound quality, then I invite you over to our Patreon, where we made these recordings available for free as uncompressed WAV files. You can access these even without a pledge, although of course we'd be very happy should you decide to support the channel in this way. Well, that was the part of the test you can judge yourself, the recording quality. Now we'd like to tell you about the things we noticed while using the audio interfaces. The build quality of the Audient is a notch above the other two. No concerns here though, they're all on a very good level. The Behringer has a plastic front plate, but otherwise it's surprisingly pretty much on par with the MOTU. They're all powered via USB. The Behringer still has an older USB-B connector, while the other two feature USB-C. The MOTU is the only one with a power switch, which I personally find very handy. Unlike the other two interfaces, you don't get any loud pops on the lineouts when turning this on or off. The Audient is the only one without MIDI ports, which is a bit of a shame. If you want to record a guitar or bass directly, for example to go into an amp simulator, the Audient has a dedicated instrument input here on the front, going into channel 1. The Behringer has line instrument level selector switches for each input, which are a bit flimsy. And the MOTU just blindly accepts everything into both inputs. The DI signal quality on both the Audient and the MOTU is pretty good, but on the Behringer, my guitar just sounds a bit dull in comparison. The intern and I tested these interfaces on our studio monitors as well as on various headphones, Biodynamic DT770 and 990, as well as Sennheiser HD650. To be honest with you, and we know this might be an unpopular opinion,
spicy take alert!
We couldn't find any significant difference either in regard to the line outputs or the headphone amps. In a blind test, I found the headphone signal to be minimally clearer on the Audient and MOTU, but the bottom line is, all of these are good and perfectly usable tools. The round-trip latency of all three interfaces is low enough that you can record and monitor your instruments live without any noticeable delay. The MOTU is the fastest of the bunch and beats the other two by 1 or 2 milliseconds at the same settings. It's also the only one that gives you usable meters for the input. That display is indeed very nice. The metering on the Audient is a bit odd. The recording at this level is clearly clipping, yet there's no clipping indicator. You definitely have to watch the levels on your computer. The Audient and MOTU both have a loopback function. That might be very interesting for you if you plan on streaming or making screen recordings. The Audient is the only one that you can expand with more inputs via the optical in. And it has 2 headphone jacks, a regular and a mini jack. They're not separate outputs though, this merely serves as a built-in Y cable or adapter. What we don't like about the Audient are the digitally controlled monitor and headphone levels. Every time you turn on the interface, the levels reset to 0 and you have to adjust them all over again. And I must say the software is pretty annoying. It wants me to register every time I plug in the interface. The Behringer has a few minor quirks, but those weren't really relevant for us in practice. For one, there's a channel imbalance at very low volumes. The audio signal will wander off to the right on your headphones or monitors. But this only happens at extremely low listening levels close to 0, so it's not really relevant. And it has some crosstalk. If you record a signal on one channel, this signal will bleed through ever so slightly to the other channel. So far this hasn't been an issue though. So, which one will I keep? My first choice was the MOTU M2, mainly because of the nice screen, the loopback feature, the slightly clearer headphone output, and the MIDI ports. But when I tried to use it in a gaming context with a phantom-powered condenser mic for voice chat, the interface gave me problems, ranging from constant short audio dropouts to sudden drops in microphone gain, which ultimately always ended in a complete malfunction. Even after a few hours of troubleshooting, I couldn't get it to work as it should. My guess is that the interface is too power-hungry and my computer's USB bus just can't supply enough of it. And since I want to use that audio interface not only in the DAW, but also occasionally for gaming, my choice then fell on the Behringer. Loopback would have been nice to have, but the only real compromise for me is the quality of the DI when using a guitar. But for that I have my trusty external DI box. Well, I hope we could clear some things up and help you decide whether it makes sense for you to invest a bit more into an audio interface or not. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. A big shout out to all of our patrons. Thanks to you, we can keep making these videos. Here are some more drum machine patterns recorded with the 3 audio interfaces.
Bunny.